my name is Kayla Brogan, and I'm presenting to you my presentation titled An Evaluation of the Evidence for Ocean Acidification Across the Early Jurassic Boundary. Did you know that in the past 200 years alone, ocean water has become 30% more acidic, faster than any known change in the ocean chemistry in the last 50 million years? Figure 1 to the right shows the increasing rate of ocean acidification from the time million years before the present. In modern times, ocean acidification is projected to impact all areas of the ocean, from the deep sea to coastal areas. Ocean acidification is associated with low pH levels in marine ecosystems, contributing to the rise in atmospheric CO2 levels. This is directly linked to climate change, which is significantly affecting our planet, as well as disturbances in marine ecosystems, such as in colonies of coral reefs and other rock sediments, which many marine populations and invertebrates and fish populations depend on. Figure 2 shows the trend of CO2 increasing in oceans and pH levels decreasing, and Figure 3 shows one of the disturbances to marine ecosystems known as coral reef bleaching. Basically, where coral reefs become dull and turn to a whitish color. Paleocean acidification is a study of ocean acidification from a few hundred to billion years ago. However, identifying Paleocean acidification is problematic. This is because the rock record and bivalves, which are a type of external shell, are good archives. Unfortunately, acidification over many years has completely degraded the rock sediments, making them hard to identify. Figure 4 shows the map of the early Paleocean during the Jurassic era. Green and Martindale in 2013 first identified abiotic and biotic responses to ocean acidification. They used these factors to help identify rock sediment from the Jurassic time period and found they were slightly affected by ocean acidification. Ettinger and Larson in 2020 utilized 293 samples of carbon and oxygen isotopes of rock sediments, and they were analyzed from the Tertian period, now located in the Italian Apennine. They measured both the thickness and frequency of the rocks and found that both had decreased since Tertian. Thickness and frequency are both growth characteristics that can be measured from these fossils. Martindale and Foster in 2022 utilized 2,300 fossil shells from marine snails and bivalves to test for acidification. They found that marine animals with shells made of aragonite are particularly susceptible to acidification. The gap in literature is that each study utilized different test subjects, varying from rock sediments to shells, and used different bioindicators to determine if ocean acidification had played a role in fossils from the early Jurassic. The purpose of my study will be to focus on the Jurassic boundary interval because it occurs deep in time, and ocean acidification is likely to be a potential trigger. The goal of my study is to figure out if ocean acidification caused a change in the early Jurassic by looking at fossils of rock sediment or shell. First, my study sample will consist of about 183 million-year-old fossils or rock sediment. Next, I will identify the different abiotic and biotic factors from the early Jurassic. Then, I will separate the different fossil groups or rock sediment by growth factors such as linear regression and thickness. And once this is all completed, I will compare the growth characteristics of the fossils I collected from my mentor to other research from fossils collected from this period to identify if ocean acidification proved to be a change in the biotic structure of this time period. In this particular study, it was identified that two different rock sediments from the Italian Apennine, known as biostromes and grainstones, with two names, lithios and oolitic limst, were the two names of the rocks utilized. They found that oolitic imst at 126.1 meters from the base was dull and whitish with a higher frequency and thickness. Lithios was found at 54 meters and appeared to be at a low frequency and thickness. And the lowest rock cluster occurs between 60 and 70 meters from the base, and it was poorly exposed to any marine conditions. This made it have a much higher density. Figure 5 to the right shows the location of lithios in oolitic imst in relation to thickness and frequency. The bar going down the middle shows the location in meters, the bar to the top right shows the frequency, and the bar to the top left shows the thickness. And then the bar located all the way to the left shows the two names of the rock, lithios and oolitic imst. Oolitic limestones decreased by 6% of their carbon dioxide, contributing to their high thickness. Lithios decreased by 50% of its carbon dioxide, or CO2, contributing to its low thickness. And carbonate banks were found in between these two rock colonies. Figure 6 shows lithios closer to the base or surface, while oolitic limestones were deeper in the ocean. It also shows the carbonate bank found in the middle of the two rock sediments. On the top right, again, you can see the thickness bar, and to the left, you can see the two names of the stones in relation to where they stood in meters from the surface. And then the line graph going down the middle shows the relationship between the location and thickness growth characteristic. Oolitic limestones was further from the surface, it lost less of its CO2. Therefore, lower pH levels did not significantly affect the sediment. Lithios was closer to the surface, losing less of its CO2 and being more affected by lower pH levels. The location of the rock sediment played a factor in the ocean acidification of the Torsian. The carbonate bank also provided safety for the oolitic limestones by preserving CaCO3, slowing the acidification. So, as you can see, location of rock sediments did play a factor in the acidification of this time period, and that is something that I could potentially utilize for my study. And figure 6 to the left shows the breakdown of CO2 in the process of ocean acidification during the Torsian. You could see CaCO3 preserved the oolitic imst in the bank at that time, and CaCO3 can also be found in the aragonite shells that I mentioned previously. This research was similar to the one I will be implementing by using the growth characteristic of thickness. Further applications of this study could be that studying the past enables you to have a better understanding of the future in terms of ocean acidification, and future studies can also use other growth characteristics to determine the acidification of paleo-ocean sediments. In particular, these three that I mentioned focus on thickness and frequency. Here are my references and citations, and thanks so much for listening.